Today I am using Forest Treasures Decor Mold by Prima. This mold can be found on our webpage at chalkitupfancy.com, and this is what it looks like close up. It has different sections to create sunflowers and parts of a sunflower. Petal, the center, and I'm going to be using paper clay. This clay you can pretty much get on Amazon, Michaels. I'm not sure if Hobby Lobby carries it, but I know Michaels does. And also you can get it from Walmart online. So you want to take out a section. You want to have a little spackle knife with you. And you always want to put your clay back in a bag as the air will start to dry it out. I like to use some cornstarch. And with a little art brush, I apply my cornstarch and make sure I get in all the grooves and crevices of the mold that I'm choosing to use at that time. And once I get all that where I need it to be, I do shake it out. So you just have a little dusting of it. And this helps my mold to come out clean and it doesn't stick behind inside the mold. Then you're going to take a section of your clay and you're going to push it into the mold. And then with my finger, I try to create an edge. And this is where the spackle knife comes into play. Now you're all going to find your little way of liking how to do this. I'm just showing you how I like to do it. Everybody kind of has their own preference. But then I take my spackle knife and I make sure that I define my edges. And this way I don't get any overlay of the mold where I have to sand it off or anything like that. And then I just clean the back and try to make it as flat as possible, as that's the part that you're going to glue. So here's the center of a sunflower. And then I'm just taking any old craft glue. I think this is tacky. You can pretty much get this glue right at the dollar store at times. Now, everything is still wet. And even though I put that in the center, I'm going to be lifting it. Even though there's glue on it, it's not going to dry for a little bit. And the reason I'm doing that is this flower, I'm adding petals. And I didn't know exactly the best placing for the petals. But you can put the petals on first. This is my first time actually doing this particular mold. So now I'm going to the petals of a sunflower. And in this mold, it comes in a section of 4. So I had to do this multiple times. This particular mold can be found at chalkitupfancy.com. We do have other molds to pick from. So when you look close, there's a lot of detail. So you see how I just lifted that center piece up and then laid down my petals. And now I'm going to go back in and create some more petals. And I'm going to be doing this about 3 times. I'm going to put my glue down. And with my finger, I'm going to get the glue everywhere, especially on the outer edges. See all that detail? Prima has done an excellent job in creating these molds. And another note is the molds are food grade, so you can use them for baking as well. So now I'm to the end of my sunflower. So I only needed 2 petals. So see how you can easily custom your mold, as I just needed the 2, so I just grabbed 2 from the mold. And you can cut them with a knife. Really, the sky's the limit when it comes to creating with them. So now that I have everything on, I want to take my finger and make sure that everything is touching my can that I chose to put this on. It's like a mason can, flower pot can. You can apply these to wood, furniture, anything to create a pattern on, a flat surface. Some of the molds actually are trim. They have like a trim style pattern to them, and some are actual, flowers and bees and different things like that. So the last part of this mold that I'm using is the leaves. I decided to put 2 leaves coming out of the side of my sunflower. We have put molds on mason jars. They're really fun to work with. And once you have your mold, they last forever. So to forewarn you, your molds do crack. So I'm going to show you how to take care of that when they dry. You're going to take some, we use wood glue or caulk. It has to be paintable caulk. But in this case, I'm going to use some wood glue. My cracks were quite small. And you're just going to rub the wood glue over the crack and then wipe it back. And it basically settles in the crack, and when you paint it, you're not going to see it. Now, if you have a large gap, that happens because your mold is going to shrink when it dries. And a lot of times, see how I placed my petals under the center of the flower? If I didn't do that and I laid it alongside of it, you would see a space between the center of the flower and a petal. I don't know if that makes sense. If you do anything like that, you can take caulk, paintable caulk, and fill in those gaps. But minor cracks, wood putty works just as well. And then when that dries, now my mold is dry now. My mold was dry. I added, and now I'm going to use some Nessie paint. And then before that, I just added the wood putty and let that dry. Nessie is a very fun color from Wise Owl. This can also be found at chalkitupfancy.com. And I'm using a little bit of a larger brush. This is my 045 Klingon. Now I'm using Spanish olive on my leaves with an art brush. And I'm using goldenrod on my petals. And because I did allow my paint to still be wet, I believe my goldenrod took about 3 coats to cover. I can be a little impatient at times, but it worked out fine. I do like my paint wet because I like when it kind of bleeds into itself, into each other. I don't know. We're all different. Whatever you're comfortable with. And in this case, I am using an art brush. If you're only going to be doing this once in a while, you can get a set of art brushes right at Dollar General for about $3. You don't need anything expensive. But if you're going to do this all the time, nice brushes do make a difference for sure. Now, I didn't speed up through a lot of this painting because I thought it was important for anybody that wants to give this a try that you have plenty of video to help you understand. So I apologize, this video is a little bit longer than usual. So this is Wise Owl chocolate that I'm applying to the center of my sunflower. And when that was drying, I went back to my petals and put a third coat. And that kind of fixed seeing the blue coming through the back. Now you guys see me do this fast, but it is very important that you allow your paint to dry correctly, as it will get funky if you overwork it and don't give it the proper dry time. Going in with my second coat of the Spanish olive. I'm not worrying about missing at this point because I'm going to go back and clean up the outer edge of this flower with the Nessie again. So now I'm taking some brown and making some veins into my leaf just to give it some interest. Nothing fancy. And now I'm taking some watered down chocolate and staining the inner part of my petals. I'm taking a little Antique Villa and dabbing that around the edge and mixing the chocolate and the Antique Villa together all around the outer edge of the inner part of my sunflower. And now I'm going to go back with my Nessie and just clean up around the outer edge of my flower and give my can a second coat. Now again, this mold with other molds can be found at chalkitupfancy.com. The paint products also can be found at chalkitupfancy.com. You can get your Klingon brushes from chalkitupfancy.com. And now I'm taking my 2-inch palm brush and clear Wise Owl salve, and that's going to be my top coat. And then you're just going to put it on and wipe it back and let it dry. We really hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see other tutorials, go check us out on YouTube. And if you'd like to go back and watch this video, you can also catch it on our webpage. And this is the Forest Treasure. Thank you so much for watching.